What's happening, people? Scarfy Spurs here, back with another one of these weekly live shows every Monday, 8 p.m. This is episode number 12, I believe. The match reaction to that crazy game at Anfield, which ended 4-3 to Liverpool. I'm meant to be joined by two guests. I've got two of them here with me now. Firstly, Rachel, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Good to hear. I'm very good, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you on. I'm looking forward to this
Thank you for
one.
having me.
Anytime, you're always welcome. Douglas, I was on your show, what was it, Friday or Saturday? Can't remember now. Before the game anyway. So yeah, I just thought I'd return the favour, and it's because it's a great show. It's a pleasure to have you on. So how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm a bit relieved after yesterday. I can't lie. It was a mad, crazy game. But no, thank you very much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on. Yeah, Saturday it was. Saturday, it was as well.
Saturday.
So yeah, great to have you. And yeah, thank you for having me.
No, anytime, mate. Yeah, it was a pleasure to come on. As I said, before we crack into it, big up to everyone in the chat. Big up to Tim. He says first, Evelyn, always the first one there. Big up. And Alfie in the chat.
That's my son.
Evelyn, Alfie, it is indeed. Big up, Alfie. Hope you enjoy the show. So before we crack into it, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and feel free to leave your comments, leave your questions. We'll answer them tonight. So let's crack into it, shall we? So Rachel, I'm going to come to you first. So let's think before the game, when the team news was announced, we had two changes. You saw that team, for example, he'd gone with Kulusevski over Richarlison again. We saw, for example, we saw Perisic starting left wing back. We saw Langley was dropped, for example. So I want to know your initial thoughts on the team news when it was announced.
When I see the team news, I looked, as I say, every single game for the last few of this season I put my head in my face. And I thought, maybe we could get a point. And I don't understand why Richarlison weren't starting. I'm very confused as why he's not getting a chance. I think Kalulu has backed off a lot from his injuries. So why is he keep getting started and Richarlison's on the bench?
Yeah. I completely agree with you. I think it's crazy.
I think our whole season has been crazy. It's like a little circus at the moment. It's like I could go and watch a bunch of clowns on a pit, like do their little for 15 quid, but we're paying the highest tickets to go and watch 12 players run around for 90 minutes to do nothing.
And you mustn't forget, Levy's the highest paid chairman as well in the Premier League, who gave himself $500,000 pay rise this year as well.
That is another thing. How he can keep justifying being the highest chairman when we're sitting 7th in the league, we're going down and down and down, and we're getting nothing. With Harry Kane could possibly leaving this summer, why he hasn't invested a team around him? What just that it's the mind boggle, and that is why I am part of an Eric Out group, because nothing's going to change. The whole time we've got that up there, nothing is going to happen on that pitch, and it's very sad to see my team like this. It's depressing, and you're getting bantered left, right, and centre from other teams. It's now you're used to it. A few seasons back, we go, "Oh, shut up." Now you're like, "Yep, we banter ourselves."
Yeah,
we'll keep. Mate, like when we're going to go sign players or we're looking at players, looking FC, we should be saying that about our own team. We should be going, "Oh, we're going to go and do that. We're going to go and buy them." We know what our chairman's like. And so every season, it's just a continued circle. And it's depressing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, Rachel. And we will get into some of those things, like you say, with Daniel Levy, with the protest plan, the rally march this Saturday and Kane's future well, because I definitely think it's a big one. But Douglas, coming to you, I want to know your thoughts. Slightly different question, because I want to know your thoughts on the Liverpool team news. It's interesting because we spoke, didn't we, before the game, and you said things like Henderson's going to be on the bench potentially. You spoke about things. It turns out Henderson was on the bench. and we were discussing who's going to be thrown in there. Would it be Diaz? Would it be Nunez? It turned out that it was Diaz. I think that's his first start for a while, isn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think injury's been a huge factor for that. And Curtis Jones was in there, for example. So I want to know what you made of that Liverpool team news, because you pretty much got it spot on.
Yeah, I think I got 10 out of 11. The only one I got wrong, I think, was Elliot for I think Thiago. I think I mentioned Thiago. Yeah. Thiago had another injury. I mean, water is wet, all that side. But no, I was actually very, very pleased with the lineup. I was glad to see Luis Diaz back in the starting 11. I think it was his first start in about 6 months, I think, so since he's come back from injury. And I thought the midfield was interesting, I have to say, because a lot has been said about our midfield, it has to be said. But no, having Curtis Jones in there and having sort of Harvey Elliott in there, I thought we might go for a bit more attacking in that midfield, and then obviously Diaz, Gakpo, and Salah, and obviously Konate came back in as well. But yeah, I was very, very happy with the team. And obviously, I looked obviously the Spurs team. I think the big surprise for me was obviously, I think we already obviously talked about it, but I would have probably said Richarlison for Kulusevski. I think Kulusevski's been a little bit, I wouldn't say timid, but I think he's been like a bit like Diaz. I think he's not trying to get injured again. I think that's the thing with Liverpool and Tottenham. They have missed a lot of players this season. I think Luis Diaz and Kulusevski are two of those options, I would say.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I remember speaking to you, Douglas, before the game on your show Saturday, saying how for me, Richarlison's got to start because you have that hunger against Liverpool from his time at Everton. You're going to Anfield as well. The atmosphere that he will receive is clear to see when he came off the bench. And I'm someone who's defended Ryan Mason a lot, but I can't quite defend that decision to go with Kulusevski over Richarlison personally for me. Rachel, coming back to you, I'm going to have to ask you this question, I'm afraid. I want to know your thoughts a day on from that crazy game, since you've had a day to reflect and revisit it, what's your thoughts on it? Is it frustration? Is it, proud of the players? Where do you sit with that?
Well, to be honest, I thought Liverpool should have been down to 10 men. I don't think I can't say his name. So me saying names, I get all mixed up. So be fair with me. I don't think Jota should have been on pitch. That should have been straight red cards. Watching it in different angles and at different times, he shouldn't have been on that pitch to go and score a goal. I felt sorry for Richarlison. I just knew when he come on that pitch he was going to score. Yeah. And I thought, we've got a point. We've done it. We've after going 3-0 down, my head dropped. Done and dusted. Get off my telly. I hope the fans get refunds. That was my exact word. Well, this is embarrassing. I'm sick to death of turning my telly on to watch this.
Yeah.
It's, like I said, it's a vicious circle that we can't get out of. And I feel sorry for our manager that's been put in, because I think he's been thrown in the deep end. He's good. He's top them through and through. But I just don't think he's 100% ready to be our manager. And he picks his friends. And that's the problem. He picks his friends. So the likes of Eric Dyer won't ever get dropped. But when he needs to.
Yeah.
Heung-min Son never gets dropped. Clooney, like I said, why is it that these are still getting to play? Why not freshen it up?
Yeah, why not go with the academy or some players like Tanganga?
Exactly. Why not bring the youngsters in to see what they can do? Is that how many times do they have to keep playing these players for us to go 3-0 down? What do they say as in the half time to go, we're going to come out? I see the fight and the passion from them in the second half, but you need that for the whole game. Not when you go 3-0 down. It's not right.
No, I completely agree with you. Big up to Matthew in the chat. I love this comment. Hi, Harry, you're a legend. This podcast made me happy. I'm not really, but appreciate that comment. It's glad to hear it makes you happy. That makes me happy as long as you guys are enjoying it. Douglas, I'm going to ask you the same question. Your thoughts a day on from that. What can't you have to use the word crazy because it was a crazy game. So your thoughts on it a day on. Are you frustrated? For example, you were in a position after 15 minutes, 3-0 up, absolutely cruising. Stepped off the gas a little bit. So were you frustrated? It got to the 93rd minute and it was 3-3. You a bit of relief there?
I've got to be honest. When we went 3-0 up, we just stopped playing. We allowed you guys to sort of get on the ball a lot. I mean, you hit the post a couple of times as well. Obviously Kane scores. It's a fantastic goal. It's a lovely play from obviously Perisic to find him. And then 3-1 at half time. Yeah, I was feeling all right about it, but I always had a feeling that if we allowed Spurs sort of back into the game, I did have a feeling that it may get to 3-2 because knowing our defence this season has been absolutely shocking. We've been absolutely shocking defensively.
I think we know how that feels.
Yeah. But I would never have envisaged the same happening to you that basically last Sunday at Newcastle. Like, I would not have expected that at Anfield. I know that people were obviously, obviously me and you spoke on our show, and a lot of people were actually saying like scores like 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, almost to that extent. So when it went to 3-0 after 50 minutes, I thought this is going to be a long afternoon. But fair play, you did actually get back into the game. But again, it's individual errors from Tottenham, and I do agree with Rachel. I think Jota was very, very lucky. I think it was a red card for me. I think if you have your foot that high and you bring sort of blood, I think that is a red card. I think that is a very, very dangerous challenge, and it is endangering an opponent. Obviously, you'll know my thoughts on the skip challenge. I know he has won the ball, but I know that we have seen in sort of previous sort of games that sort of follow through does almost end up in a red card. I mean, I was so fearful for Diaz because when he's come back 6 months injured, I thought, oh no, he's going to be injured again. I've got to be honest. I thought Paul Tierney had an absolute shocker yesterday. And I thought as well, David Coote on VAR wasn't much better, to say the very, very least. And then obviously 3-2, you got back, and there's always that moment when you think, right, we're going to try and get the draw, we're going to try and get the 3-3, and obviously you do get. I would never have envisaged those 15 seconds after that. It was absolutely mental, but crazy game. And I've got to say this. I think you'll be very, very disappointed that you actually didn't win that game because you actually had a number of chances. Son hit the post a couple of times, like Romero hit the post a couple of times. Yes, I know they're obviously pulled back for offside eventually, but they're big chances. And when you go to places like Anfield, you do have to take your chances. Scoring 3 goals, you'd be thinking, yeah, we'll get a draw. And then obviously going up the other end and conceding. And look, Lucas Moura has been a wonderful servant for Tottenham Football Club. He has been a wonderful servant for Tottenham Football Club. But I have absolutely no idea what he was trying to do. Was he trying to pass it back to Forster? Was he trying to pass it back to Romero? I honestly don't know.
We'll definitely get onto that. I'm sure Richard has something to say about that, so I'm sure we will get onto that later, that's for sure. But no, definitely. Thank you, Douglas. Answering Matthew's comment in the chat, did Tottenham win against Liverpool? Sadly not. We potentially could have, but we lost 4-3 in the end to Liverpool in what was a crazy game. Now I'd like to introduce my third guest. Hello, Danny. How are you doing?
I'm doing better than I was this time 24 hours ago. I mean, it's still hurting, don't get me wrong. It's just the usual course, isn't it, playing against Liverpool? It's been happening now for 5 years, and it's getting more and more hard to stomach, as you can imagine. Just find new ways to be sportsy, you know what I mean? Last 2 away games, continuously find new ways to be sportsy. It's just ridiculous at this stage.
Yeah, completely agree. But no, it's a pleasure to have you on. So let's move on, and I'm going to ask you, Danny. Going to come to you. So we went 3-0 down, as you know, inside 15 minutes. I want to know, what's your reasoning for keep going behind early in games, crumbling? I mean, this time we came back, but I want to know, what do you put that down to, and how much does that frustrate you as a fan?
They don't care enough, Harry. You know what I mean? There's no appetite to go out in that pitch in Anfield, of all places, one of the most iconic stadiums on the planet, and really make your presence known. There's just a real poisonous culture within the club, and I suppose, as most sports fans would echo, it does stem from the top, and it has the stage stemmed on the pitch, and the players, I don't know what planet they're on when they go on that pitch. I really don't. And they're obviously not on planet Earth, because it's happening too often this season, isn't it? I think it was Martin Keown said this morning on White and Jordan that 13 times this season Spurs have been behind in the first 15 minutes of matches. So no, it's just a reoccurring problem, and I'm resigned now at this stage, Harry, to the club being toast finished under the current regime. I think realistically the best we can hope for is minority investment, because I hate to say it, but Daniel Levy and Joe Lewis aren't leaving the club, because inevitably that Super League is on the horizon. And when that does occur, there's no way Daniel Levy and Joe Lewis will not be at Tottenham Hotspur to reap the rewards, financial rewards of that. So I don't know, man. It's just going to be dark times ahead. I mean, we think it's bad now. I think next season's only going to get worse. We're going
That's the worry.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing clubs like Villa, where a lot of backing. They're not going anywhere. I'm sure there are more clubs as well. So Chelsea are obviously going to get their act together. Not so convinced about Liverpool, given they've already missed out in Bellingham. But in saying that, you would nearly bet your bottom dollar the finish above Spurs. No, I think there are dark times ahead for the club, no doubt.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, Danny, for that. Rachel, I'll come to you. I'm going to ask you a similar question. Obviously, as I said, we go 3-0 down inside 15 minutes. I want to know, firstly, what you put that down to, and also what you made of the fight until the end. Did you think it was going to be like another Newcastle? We're going 3-0 down this time inside 15 minutes. So were you impressed with the players that by the end, we pulled it back 3-3 and could have got a point on another day?
When we went 3-0 down, my first reaction was, we've got another Newcastle on our hands. We're going to get absolutely annihilated. This could be 8-0 before even half time. And our defence is poor. But Dyer he can't defend. I love Romero. I love how aggressive he is. I thought he may have got sent off. I was like, he's going to get carded today. They're going to be Liverpool's going to do something to antagonise him, because they know how aggressive Romero can be when it comes to tackling. The second half, we had quite a few chances to put away. We should have been 3-3. We hit crossbars and stuff like that. And the passion, the second half was different to the first half. It felt like we really wanted to. We've never won at Anfield. I think that's our curse ground. It must be.
Curse fixture.
I really think that's our curse ground, because we have not won at Anfield. So to go 3-3 up, the fight to come back to go from 3-0 down to 3-0, and then Mora comes on.
I mean, what's he doing there? Perfect assist for Jota. We will definitely get into it.
Why? This is the second time you've done this to us, Mora. And like I said, players have to be criticised. You cannot give them a free pass. They get all this money. So what are they doing on the training pitch? This is how I'm looking at it. What are they doing on the training pitch to be letting 3 goals in before even half time?
I found it was otherwise.
What are they learning? I sit there, they're having tea and cake?
Giants
It's
more
not
like
good enough.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Surely you learn,
They get paid.
3-3. Yeah. Surely you learn, you 3-0 down, you go to 3-3. In the 93rd minute, surely you learn to either, one, which I would probably do, having gone 3-0 down and coming back, see out the game, or go for it. We do neither. We're playing just outside our box and we're messing around with the ball. I don't get it. So that shouldn't have happened. I don't know why Lucas is in that position in the first place, and I don't know what he's doing. People say, oh, yeah, but he's trying to pass for Romero. Okay, but just put your foot for it and clear it when the final whistle goes. It's
Kick it out. He
that
could
simple.
have kicked it out. Like,
That
kick
would
it away.
like a win for us. A point would have us even before the game. A point would have been fantastic, but to go 3-0 down,
because I never expected
be
us
very,
to
very impressive.
maybe one goal.
Yeah, I think it's the basics in football, that know-how, how to see out the game. People say, "Oh, you need an experienced coach," but as players, you should know how to see out a game. It's just basic stuff. It should click. You come back from 3-0 down, and you must see the game out. Replying to Matthew's comment about have Tottenham got a manager in yet. So we've got Ryan Mason, interim manager, after another interim manager, Stellini, was sacked. We're assuming Mason until the end of the season, unless Levy changed his mind, but you never know with him. Next season, we're assuming a permanent manager will be appointed. Who knows when and who knows who. Douglas, I'm going to come to you. I want to ask you a question about Spurs, because obviously you see it in a different perspective than us. Obviously, being a Liverpool fan. So I want to know what you make of the fact that once again, Tottenham start getting slowly with goals. The amount of goals we conceded in the three, is quite worrying. So I want to know, why do you think Spurs keep going behind that early, and why do they have to leave it so late before they actually come back or even turn up to a game?
I mean,
it's mind blowing.
I think it's a mentality thing for Spurs. I really, really do. I can't believe how bad a mess you guys are in at the moment. Like from top to bottom. Like I think obviously the problems are obviously with Daniel Levy. I think that's the safest thing to say. But again, you've got to probably say that the players are probably like let these managers down so many times as well. I think having Ryan Mason there, I obviously said this on my show. Having someone of that ilk and having someone of who has Tottenham blood through and through and through, I think is a very, very good idea to have in and around the club. My only thing was saying this about obviously the 3-0, going 3-0 down after 50 minutes. Never saw that coming, but I think what I've noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed this, you guys crumble when you are in big atmospheres. So obviously Anfield, obviously St James's Park.
I think Conte's right. I don't think these players can handle the pressure.
Yeah, I think what he said after that Southampton game has basically said a lot of things, like how bad the club is run at the moment and how things are going. But for me, the reason I think you're conceding too many goals in the first sort of 15 minutes, I think it's down to mentality thing. I don't think they were up for that first 15 minutes. And then look what happened. A completely different game yesterday. And to get back to 3-3 was very, very good. And that obviously, I think losing in the way you did is probably the most Spursiest thing I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Richarlison. Let's speak about that. He got his first league goal. It couldn't have been a more perfect time to do it for him anyway, at Anfield against Liverpool, in stoppage time as well. Was it just too good to be true? To snatch 2 points off of Liverpool, to gain a point for us. First league goal of the season against the club he probably hated the most from being at Everton, Liverpool, away from home at Anfield as well. As I said, stoppage time could have been the last kick of the game. Too good to be true.
I forgot the connection. It was until he actually come on, and I said to my husband, I went, he used to play for Everton. And my husband actually said he's going to go score. I was like, nah, he won't. And then when he scored, I was like, wow. All right, his first goal for Tottenham, it had to be against them. But I actually thought they was going to disallow it. I was like, oh, it's going to be offside. All right, they're good. All right. And I was talking to my mum, And my mum went, it's going to be offside. I was like, no, don't say that. We need these 3 points. We are at the point. I was like, it feels like 3 points to us, but it's not. Like, and then obviously, boom, it just snatched away from us. Like, there's no tomorrow.
It reminds me almost of a Bournemouth game where we were terrible, but it's a slightly different situation. We were terrible. We get that goal in added time through Danjuma, but only Tottenham could go on and lose that game. Bonkers.
As what Douglas said, it starts from the top. Like, that is the route it starts from. Joe Lewis, Donna, our chairman. There's no, and I think we lost some of our morals when Poch got sacked, and that is the downfall. We went. It just went.
Yeah, I think you're perfectly right about the club being rotten from the top. Because if you think about it, the fact that most of us fans think that Pochettino coming back will be the right thing, but we know it won't happen as fans because Levy won't accept that he's wasted the last 4 years, and he won't accept it was a mistake sacking him. That is a case of that is being rotten from the top, and he tries to sack everyone around him, like he says in the club statement. I take responsibility, and literally lists a load of other people, but he's taking responsibility, but he's sacking Stellini. That's what I don't get. Take responsibility and resign yourself if you think you're the problem.
He wound me up with his "Come on, you Spurs, Daniel." We're his friends. We're like one of his friends. No, we're not. That was just. But like you said, if you're going to take responsibility, resign, go away, and he'll go get a new manager, a football director. Oh, I'm going to stay away. He has no football experience. He's a financial. He passed a degree in finance. He knows the finance side. Football, he has got no acknowledgement at all. He either steps away or he steps down. We can't continue the way we're going with him. 22 years, 1 trophy. Not good enough.
No, absolutely, completely agree.
Fans need to pay. They're all happy with the new shiny stadium. Yeah, it's beautiful, but you could have a nice house, but with no furniture in it. It's not right, and
no,
it don't even feel like a Tottenham stadium. It feels like I am going to watch a concert.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you, Rachel. Thank you for that. Danny, so do you feel for Richarlison, and do you think it's too good to be true?
Too good to be true. Mainly because of the club he's playing for. But I do believe the club's cursed, particularly against Liverpool, because the 5 years gone past can tell. Just find new ways to be sporty. I keep reiterating that, but it's just so true. And it's unfortunate for Richarlison because obviously, he hadn't scored in the Premiership this season, and I think ideally, if he wanted to choose first goal for the club, it would be that sort of circumstance, So I do feel for him, but it's the club he's playing for, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, sadly, he's a perfect fit for Spurs in terms of being very Spursy, I think. But Danny, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to pin up this comment from Connor saying our team is mentally weak, and the sooner we get a restart, the better. Problem is how and when. Danny, do you think we have a mentality problem, like Douglas said?
Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I even touched on it earlier in this chat that, those players going out to line up before a match. God knows what planet they're on. Like, they're obviously not on planet Earth. Now, there's definitely a mentality problem, without question. Lucas Moura, I do believe that was a mentality issue as to why he had that psychotic episode to set up Jota for the winner. I mean, the last time he came on was also in Liverpool, but this time at Goodison Park, and he had a psychotic episode that night as well. So, no, there's definitely a mentality issue, and the club is poison. I'll reiterate that. The club is poisonous, make no mistake about it, on and off the pitch. And, when the club's poison, the way Tottenham Hotspur are, you're seeing outrageous mistakes more or less every game, you know. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Danny. Big up to Connor in the chat who says about when we talk about Levy, if he wants to take responsibility and give back to the fans, he should go all out for Nagelsmann and give him a nice budget in the window. But sadly, I think the majority of us know that isn't going to happen. But Douglas, I want to know your thoughts on it. Again, as a Liverpool fan, do you see Daniel Levy as the main problem and the owners at Tottenham? You know, how big of an issue do you see them? Because you're looking at it from an outside perspective. Where do you see Tottenham's troubles at the moment? Who you put it down to?
I've said it for ages. It's Daniel Levy.
Yeah.
Again, some part has to sort of be blamed on the players as well. I think letting some of these managers down. But at the end of the day, if you don't back your managers, then you're not going to get anywhere. I mean, the one thing I have for Tottenham is that I think when you look at Daniel Levy as a businessman, and the fact that he is the highest paid chairman in the Premier League doesn't surprise me one bit. Does not surprise me one bit. And I think as well we all remember the botched Super League idea. Daniel Levy went through with that. You know, this is a guy who has no concerns about anything but himself, in my opinion. It's the same with like every owner that actually did sign that botched Super League. Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, Manchester United, Liverpool.
Money.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, for me, it starts from the top, and it is definitely Daniel Levy. He's the biggest problem, and the sooner he goes, when that may be, then I think Tottenham will definitely need to become I wouldn't say a sort of a bad sort of football club under Daniel Levy, but you don't know what sort of budget you're going to get in the summer. And again, it will just be false promises once again from a chairman, as I said, who doesn't give a monkeys about the football club.
Yeah, absolutely. Danny, where do you stand with Levy in, Levy out, Inic out?
Obviously, I'm Levy out, Inic out, but as I say, realistically, I just can't see them leaving the club. Due to the reason that I explained earlier, that's the inevitability of the Super League and the riches that come along with it, and I just can't see Daniel Levy, especially, walking away from that. I think the protests have, increased in terms of, the amount of people. But in saying that, I do have an issue with fans renewing their season tickets because ultimately they're still lining the pockets of Daniel Levy. You know what I mean? Now, I know people would turn around and say, oh, well, you take the waiting list into consideration. There's always going to be somebody to take your place. But I always say back to that, well, at least, personally, from a personal viewpoint, you'll have that consolation of, getting up in the morning, looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, well, me, Danny Boyle, for example, I'm not lining the pockets of Daniel Levy and Joe Lewis anymore, So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, fair enough. Danny, fair enough. That's more than valid. Lots of fans, I think, are starting to turn, as you say, the numbers in the protest, I think are growing. I think people are starting to realise, that nothing is going to change, with Levy still here and with these owners still here. So no, it's definitely an interesting one. It feels like fans are kind of almost like uniting, if you like. But Rachel, I'm going to come to you. So, focus on the game. Did we deserve something out of the game for you? I know, like you said, we done really well to come back. We went 3-0 down. Overall, though, do you think we deserve something out of the game?
As you just pointed out, the first half, no. But yes, the second half we did. We did deserve to walk away from with a point. And that was the gutting part. We showed the second half, we come out, we wanted it. You could tell the players really wanted and it was how I'm going to look at it. We were robbed from it. We was robbed of a point. With, as I said, the player, he shouldn't have been on the pitch. He should have been. If he was on that pitch, maybe that goal wouldn't have happened. But
Yeah.
we have to
There you go.
somehow pick ourselves up, go again on Saturday.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. Danny, do we deserve something out of the game for you?
I mean, the game was something that was very typical of Spurs this season. Awful first half, inning, but awful second half. Suppose in the grand scheme of things, given they were 3-0 down at Anfield of all places, and worked so hard to get back to 3-all, and then obviously, as I touched on earlier, that psychotic episode by Mara basically cost them the game. So with that in mind, you would have to say that they deserved a point, maybe at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Danny. So I'm gonna come to you, Douglas. Before we get into the red card, the 2 or 3 situations regarding referee VAR performance. Douglas, I want to know your thoughts on Liverpool's firstly performance as a whole in that whole match, and then breaking it down into that second half, but mainly, your defensive display. Your defense has been criticised a lot, and we saw, a Liverpool team that pretty much nearly crumbled in front of our eyes. So you completely controlled the game, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 3-0 up, absolutely cruising. You could have put the game out of the sight. What do you put that down to? Is it, stepping off the gas? Is it mentality? Because the likes of Konate, I thought, looked really, really shaky in the second half as an individual.
Yeah, I think the first 15 minutes, I thought we were excellent. I thought we were sort of like the old sort of Liverpool, sort of the red arrows, almost. I mean, great first goal from Curtis Jones, lovely ball from Alexander-Arnold Jones into the bottom corner, and I think we've always wanted to see that sort of side of Curtis Jones, just adding sort of goals into his game. And obviously, nice to see Luis Diaz back on the score sheet, and obviously the inevitable penalty decision, and I don't know why Romero's going to ground. Like,
what he's doing.
Just stay on his feet. Stay on his feet.
Absolutely.
I don't think Gakpo's about to get a shot in anyway. But obviously Salah steps up, and I was a bit worried because Salah taking penalties recently. He's not been quite as clinical from penalty kicks. And then I just think we just completely stepped off the gas. We allowed Tottenham back into the game, and I think as well. I think I've said this many times. Alisson Becker has been our best player this season by a complete mile. Yeah. Now, if he hadn't been playing all season, we would be 16th in the Premier League. And that is actually saying a lot. Now, the fact that our goalkeeper is our player of the season is a big concern for me. Defensively, we've been a shambles all season. Van Dijk's not been at it. I don't know where he's going for the first goal. Perisic completely turns him. Konate, I can understand Konate being a bit sort of rusty because he did actually come back from an injury. In that game, I was surprised Matip didn't start, but I will be totally honest. I thought Matip had a very good game against West Ham midweek, and I thought he would have. Started. But that second half, it's just like the first half. You guys started really well, got us on the back foot, and as I said, you do need to take chances at Anfield. It was basically what you say, call a tale of two halves. We had the better of the first half. You definitely had the better of the second half, and I just think as well it was a very lucky win. In all honesty, because we almost threw that away. And obviously, I know that Rachel said that Anfield's been one of your bogey grounds. You actually haven't beaten us there since 2011. I think it was Lucas. Luka Modric and Rafael van der Vaart a 2-0 victory. So that's been a long time since you've actually, beaten us at. And I think we've had a couple of 2-2 draws in there as well. So, but no, I just think yesterday was a game where we started really, really well. I think the changes sort of allowed us to sort of be a bit edgy. Like, he brought on Milner to see out the game, and look what happened. Obviously, completely poleaxes. I think it's safe to say human song, and obviously, the equaliser comes from obviously Richarlison. I thought, oh no, here we go again. More drop points, but I never have envisaged what would have happened in those 10 seconds. But I just think the way we've been playing this season, I think we go into games expecting to win. We've always had this sort of thing, like going into these away games, like obviously Wolves, Forest. We always have a sort of a tendency to think we can just turn up and win. Bournemouth is a big example of that as well. So we do need to go away and think about how we sort this, because for me, the midfield has been completely neglected. We completely need to transform that next season. And it's been a big problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Douglas. Douglas, I love your honesty. Rachel, I'm going to come to you because I know you want Enoch out and Levy out, like a lot of other people. Colin says, here's a good question. Would you take an oil money takeover? I would, because I'm desperate to see Spurs do well, but it feels wrong to buy everything at the same time. Rachel, where do you stand with that and oil money?
I just want someone that's going to buy and invest. 2 seconds.
No, you're right.
I just want someone that's going to invest on the pitch, and Eric ain't going to do that. It's all about going to build houses and hotels and cinemas and a skywalk and under the ground go-karting. We don't want any of that. We do not pay to go to watch or go to play that. So it's a tough one about the oil money.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. No, fair enough. Danny, where do you stand on that and with the oil money?
Well, taking into account, Harry, that there are no morals in football. If there are oil money to be, related to the club in the future, then what can we do? We just have to accept it, If it means success in the pitch, then at that particular time when that happens, then the controversy is going to be the last thing in our minds. So unfortunately, that's just the way football's going. Football's becoming more and more politicized. Money's just overpowered literally every element of the football spectrum throughout previous generations. So, as I say, what can you do?
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, thank you, both of you. So let's quickly, before we go on to the questions from the guys that put forward their questions on the tweet this morning, I put out the questions for the podcast. So guys, if you're in here waiting for your questions to be answered, they will be answered by the panel, don't worry. But firstly, let's get into the couple of big talking points. And Douglas, I come to you first. I'm going to ask you for, I think, a simple yes or no. Firstly, should Jota been sent off? And secondly, should Skip been sent off? I
think they're both red cards. I think they are both red cards. I think Jota one is completely endangering his opponent. I don't think that would have happened if, obviously, I think if Skip had obviously been, obviously sent off by, Paul Tooney. But for me, I did say on Twitter earlier, I do think that Skip was extremely lucky, and I think Jota was very, very lucky as well.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Douglas. I love your honesty. Danny, for you, you've got those two points there. So, firstly, Skip should have been sent off, and Jota.
Yeah, they're both red cards. Unfortunately, nowadays in football, you see a lot of referees trying to, make two wrongs in terms of making it right, and that's not necessarily fair neither. There's a good case to argue that if Skip hadn't done that tackle in Diaz, then perhaps Jota would have seen red after that. So as I say, it's just happening too often in the modern game now, where two wrongs are making it right as far as the referees are concerned, and yeah, as I say, both reds.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Thank you, Danny. Rachel, for you, are they both red cards, or do you have a different opinion?
I don't think Skip Runs was, but I do think Jota's was 100%. He should have been sent off. And that's not because me being a Spurs fan. I've spoke to other fans and they've actually agreed with me that Skip's no, but Jota's yes. How he got away with it, he just got a yellow. He could have seriously hurt Skip. Right? What? It was too hot. No, it should have been a red card.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. For me, Jota's he's definitely a red card. Like, you all say about endangering the opponent, whether he meant it or not. I think, but at the same time, I think both players have a right to go for it. But at the end of the day, when you're going stud high and you're getting Skip in the head, which hurt him like he did, he's endangering an opponent. For me, Skip, it's a tough one. And this is not me being biased, because when Casemiro got sent off for a very, very similar tackle, I turned around and said, I don't think that's a red card. I think it's similar with Skip. It's one of those where I think you need an orange card. It's one of those where it's really, really in between, whereas you win the ball, but the follow through is really, really, really bad. And a yellow card is the minimum that you need there. But at the same time, it's not quite enough, because the player needs to learn that you can't follow through like that, even if you do win the ball. So for me, it's in the middle, and it's a tough one. I don't know if he got yellow card or not, but if he didn't, he certainly should have. So it's a tough one. It's one of those that a referee will give a red card, like with Casemiro, but that comes down to inconsistency. But they both could have very, very easily been red cards. That's for sure. But now, time for the questions from the podcast. So thank you all for waiting kindly. Let's get into them. First questions is from THFC News. I'm going to ask Danny, I'm going to ask you the first question. How do you feel about Tottenham nearly getting a good result, but then letting it slip in the final stages?
Well, as I say, they're just finding new ways to be Spursy and consecutive away matches, and it's utterly outrageous at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Danny. Douglas, next question I'm going to ask you from Red Devils TV. Big up if you're listening. Who says, who gets Europa League, Liverpool or Spurs or both?
Let me have a look at the Premier League table.
So Europa League is in that 56th spot.
So we're on 56 points, game in hand. Tottenham are on 54.
What do you think, Chris?
You can have it.
Do you know what? That Villa game at Villa Park for Tottenham is going to be very, very interesting, to say the very, very least. I think that'll be the difference between whether you get Europa League or Conference League, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's huge in terms of Europa League. Yeah, definitely. It means a lot to Aston Villa in particular.
Yeah, I mean, Aston Villa narrow defeat to Manchester United yesterday. It's a big, big if, but United have some very, very tough games coming up, and I mean, I really, really want to say we'll get top four. I don't see it. The only points the maximum amount of points we can get is 71 if we win our remaining 5 games. Newcastle are on 65.
If you don't mind reading out United's remaining games for the people who are listening to see what they think.
Yeah, sure. So Manchester United's remaining games are Brighton away. That's on Thursday. Thursday, 4th of May. So obviously, yeah. West Ham away. That's not easy, to say
No.
the very, very least. Wolves at home, Bournemouth away, again, not easy.
No.
Chelsea at home, and then Fulham at home. So they've got the last two at Old Trafford.
Yeah,
I think the three away
although
games
I think there's a couple of hard ones in there, I personally think that is too much to ask Liverpool to do. But right now,
I
Douglas,
think so.
you're happy with 5th place. I turned around and said to you, you're finishing 5th. You happy with that, considering the season you've had?
Considering the season we have, yeah, I would take 5th place, and I think it'd be a big wake up call to the players. But to answer the question, do I think both Liverpool and Spurs get Europa League? Yes, in the end, I think we do.
Liverpool 5th and Tottenham 6th, do you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Rachel's nodding her head, so we will get to that. Rachel, I'm going to ask you this from Things Hotspur, who I believe is tuning in, so big up. Leave a comment if you're here. Does Ryan Mason deserve the job if he is appointed? Who he sees less or more back him due to who he's also getting in the current lack of squad? So yeah, he's basically asking, does he deserve the job? Will he get backed if he gets the job?
It don't matter who gets the job because they
Yeah.
will not be backed. So Daniel Levy has put him in charge for the moment, but if he gives him the job, he won't be backed. It don't matter who gets appointed. We can go. So we've done the likes of Mourinho, we've done Conte, we've the serial winners, and not one of them have delivered. And why is that? We haven't got the players because of the chairman won't put the hand in his pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. Chris says, I don't think Spurs get European football. And I've got to be honest, I just want to quickly say on that, if you think about it, right, we're not finishing above Liverpool. So that means you're at least 6th anyway. You've got Aston Villa, who are having a better season than us. You know, they've turned it around under Unai Emery, 15th to 5th. That's an amazing transition. And we've got to play them at Villa Park. And then you've got, so that's 7th already. And then you've got Bright behind us. They've just smashed Wolves 6-0. They look perfect. You know, they're Casados, they're McAllisters, you know, they're Fergusons. You know, they look top class. So that's easily 7th or 8th. But Danny, I come to you with the next question from Tim. I know Tim is tuning in, so big up, Tim. Feel free to leave a comment. Tim says the main question is, where do you go from here? What should be the long-term strategy from Tottenham if they're to avoid relegation in 1 to 2 years' time and basically become like Everton? That's where it looks like you're heading, unfortunately. And how do you avoid that?
I suppose they would need to have a balance between young players and experienced players. Unfortunately, whenever Spurs do spend decent money, it's usually on players with potential rather than players who are the finished article, you know. So, yeah, as I say, it would just have to be a balance between experience and inexperience.
Okay, no, thank you, Danny. That's a good answer. Chris says Liverpool finish 5th. Absolutely. Right now, Aston Villa will get the other 2 places in any order. And one I did forget there, actually, is you've got obviously Brentford, who still have an outside chance of getting top 4. Let's say somehow they manage to beat us. Yeah, they win a couple of games going into it, then they have every single chance. I mean, not obviously top 4, but maybe like, let's say, Conference League or maybe even that 6th spot. I think is still up for grabs. I think the top 5, I don't think there's positions up for grab there. Maybe just between Man United and Newcastle, but for clubs like Villa, clubs like Brighton, and clubs like Brentford, they can still achieve 6th. Absolutely, that is still possible. But Rachel, I'm going to come back to you for the next question before I go to Douglas. This is from my good friend Ben, who says, would fans go nuts at some of the subs Mason has if it was Conte? And I know Ben's a big fan of Conte, so I knew you had to put that comment in. Personally, before I come to you, I just have to say I think these subs have been generally good so far. I thought they changed the game against United. I thought, yes, the Lucas Moura sub, I don't know why he's come on and obviously cost the goal. At the same time, Richarlison came on and scored as well. So where do you view Ryan Mason and his subs?
We haven't got anyone on the sub bench, so he's got to do what he thinks is right. He's got to pick who he thinks is going to either help us score, defend. So it's do I think people would have gone crazy at Conte? Yes, I do. So it's very that one is a.
I think
Like I said, we've got nobody
rather
who
than Mara.
stands out.
Yeah, go for it,
Come out
Danny.
and go, wow,
Yeah,
he's
no,
really going to set the light afire.
I was just going to say, I think young Devine could have come on rather than Mara, because we know Mara's going at the end of the season and his head's in God knows what planet, so.
Yeah, I don't get it. And also, when that change is made, I don't get why the change is made so quickly. When you've come back from 3-0 down to make it to 3-3, it's all about game management. You're taking those, wasting time, if you like. You take the yellows, you're slow. And the substitution is made quicker than I've ever seen before. We come on, we're keen to really get on with the game and we're moving the ball quickly. I don't get it. Why you're not going to the corner flag, why you're not wasting time, why you're not, trying to win free kicks. I just don't get it. You're not even going for it because we're messing around in front of our own goal, outside our box. I personally, just don't get that. Big up to Tim in the chat. I knew he would be here. Tim is satisfied with his answer, so well done, Danny. He's very satisfied with your answer. And also big up to Chris in the chat who's just joined. Still been shambles season for us, going from potential quadruple to Europa League football. This is what I'm assuming. Absolutely wonderful, just what I expected. Sarcasm. But I completely agree, but I think it has been a better end to season for Liverpool than imagined, let's say 3-4 weeks ago. Next question is for you, Douglas, from Jam. The first part of it's for you anyway. He says, question for Liverpool fan Douglas. What were your thoughts on Jota's boot to the head of Skip? And obviously you've answered that, but do you want to quickly recap that?
Yeah, 100% red card. I have no idea why Paul Tierney didn't send them off, but it just goes to show that refereeing in this country is an absolute shambles, and at this moment in time, it's just at the lowest of the low.
Yeah, completely agree. The refereeing is definitely shambolic at an all-time low, and the investment for me needs to be there, and get good pair of referees. I thought the referee in the World Cup was very, very good. There's so many things wrong, I think, with officiating, but something needs to change, and there's no point of having VAR if they can't see obvious things like that. And perhaps it's the same with the skip stackle as well. Rachel, I come to you. The second part of Jam's question is for you. Do you believe Nagelsmann will join Spurs? If not, who do you think, and will it make a difference?
Again, if he does join, it's going to be on broken promises. And no, it won't be a success because he won't be backed. It's that same answer we come back to. He will not be backed. We could get all these managers in. They're all going to be either broken promises. It's either a yes man or it's someone that actually wants to invest in the team that won't get the players that they want. I hope I answered that okay.
No, you did absolutely spot on. Thank you. Danny, next question for you. Got a couple more. Stevie said, I found this question interesting. Why isn't Jamie Hara on the coaching staff?
Jamie has a big follow on Twitter, as you all know, I'm sure. I do think, now don't get me wrong, Jamie O'Hara said in Talksport, criticizing Daniel Levy, but I think it could be tweaked a lot more about it as well. Because, as I say, he has a big following on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Thank you, Danny. The final question I'm going to ask you, Douglas, because it is about Jurgen Klopp, from Colin. How does Klopp get away with his behaviour on the touchline, and where do you view what should be the punishment for his reaction at the end?
Firstly, I think Klopp has had a bit of a up and down season. He's made some very, very strange decisions this season, but I genuinely think he's not going to literally celebrate in front of the Tottenham bench. I think it's just a complete misunderstanding from what I think he was a little bit frustrated at some of the decisions yesterday, but there's one thing you don't do is obviously go and celebrate in front of a linesman, and obviously whatever happens with whatever Paul Tierney said to Klopp is obviously going to remain private. But I'll be amazed if he doesn't get a fine. I'll be amazed if he doesn't get a fine. I think he was sent off against Manchester City earlier in the season. I think we all like a bit of passion. We all like a bit of passion from our managers, don't we? But he has crossed the line. He has crossed the line now.
Yeah, Chris pretty much agrees with you. He says Klopp should get banned. I love the man, but my criticism of him, I don't like him being the face of officials all the time. I'm not defending it at all. Fair play, Chris. Respect for you, and thank you for joining. So yeah, that is all the questions. So big up to everyone who left their question. Thank you. Fantastic answers from the panel tonight. So thank you very much, guys, for your answers and equally your questions. So a couple more questions I'm going to put forward to you guys before we wrap up for today's show. Rachel, I'm going to come to you first. And I want to know, keeping the subject on Klopp, I want to know your thoughts on his post-match comments about Ryan Mason, saying about he has other things to worry about, and the little dig he had at Tottenham and with the style of play.
He should keep his opinions to himself. That's all I'm going to say on that one.
Absolutely. Danny, what do you make of the post-match comments from Klopp?
It's not the first time he's had the club. I remember the correspondent fixture last season. They also had a dig at the philosophy or whatever, the approach to the game. So yeah, I mean, Klopp, he likes to play to the gallery, doesn't he? Obviously, toxic atmosphere and loud atmosphere. And you just know with Klopp, his personality, both inside and outside, he just, he really, volumes and that, passion and the noise and all that, So yeah, it's just, one of those you just take with a pinch of salt.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Danny. I'm going to come back to you, Danny, and I want just a simple yes or no answer, if you don't mind, from you. Do you support what Change for Tottenham are doing?
So what's the actual portfolio, if you want to go into detail?
Yeah, so Change for Tottenham, obviously a page trying to get Change for Tottenham, for example, they've put forward a potential idea, for example, a rally march against the Palace game. So I just want to know if you support what they're doing, and they're, for example, sending out an email to the board, like I said, that rally march against Palace. So do you support, and how much do you think Change for Tottenham is needed?
Well, I think the absolute route is to not renew season tickets for next season and have enough following for that sort of philosophy. But I mean, if the protests are continuing to gather momentum and more population, then we'll see how it ends. But personally, if it's up to me, it wouldn't be my first, wouldn't be my ideal way of approaching it, But as I say, we'll just see how these protests go, and as I say, they are gathering in terms of population capacity or whatever, and see how it ends.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Yes or no? Do you support Change for Tottenham and what they're doing?
I'm the out group, so I'm nothing to do with the Change for Tottenham. So what they do is completely different to what we're doing.
Do you still support them?
Because come as one.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you support them? Do you wish we all came as one? Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to achieve the same objective and get Change for Tottenham.
I think the thing is with the Change for Tottenham, like they keep getting asked to tell people who they are, and they won't announce who they are. So to other people, that they want to change, but you're not telling. You want your support. You want this support. Well, you've got the Eric Out group that stands opposite the club every home game. Will show their face. We're on social media.
Yeah.
So
do you think like Change for Tottenham should do like one of their members or board members, I don't know how it works, like come out in a video and explain what they do? Because I certainly, lots of fans I know agree with you. Like you hear lots of words from them, but we don't physically see. Like they propose this rally march, we don't know whether they'll be there or not. We don't know what they look like, who they are, how many of them they are. So do you think like a video on social media will help? Because I'm sure as part of the Unique Out group, you would like them, to join you to turn up at the protest, support what you're doing. Both support each other. Because at the end of the day, what I find frustrating is we're all trying to achieve the same thing, but we're going in different directions, which is fine. But it'd be nice if we could support each other, like Change for Tottenham could reveal who they are. And it'd be nice if they can come together and support each other, because we are trying to achieve the same thing. So do you think that social media video could really, really help? Because you hear a lot of words, but we don't know who we're seeing, whereas the likes of Brian Daigle, Billy, Unique Out group, they make themselves visible and everyone knows who they are.
Exactly. Like, we've not always been, like, agreement, like, our words have not been very nice to people on, like, we've rowed, we've said names, but we're just defending ourselves. But what I will say is we just want the best. We just want what's right for our group, for our club. And as I said, 22 years, 1 trophy is not good enough.
No, it certainly isn't
So
good
I
enough.
do think Change for Tottenham, if they want to be the voice for Tottenham, then they need to come out and actually say to you, show themselves.
And do you think an email is going to do anything? Do you think they're better turning up at the protest instead of sending an email?
I've not heard nothing more of what's going to happen with them on Saturday. So there's nothing. So there's no communication. At least with the likes of me, Billy and Brian, we put our faces out there. Our names are out there. So people can know when they come over to us, oh, you're Rachel. Yeah, I'm Louds. You can hear me halfway down the road. But you know who you're talking to. You're not talking to someone who's behind the screen. I'm exactly the same person as I am on here.
Yeah.
So I do think we should all come as one.
Yeah, I think that's very important. I completely agree with you. Like getting the fans to side with what you're doing, because it's all good giving it large on social media, but if you're not doing anything, there's no evidence of what you're doing, then that's not going to help. I like to bring up this comment from Chris saying these Norway footballer players try to get one a lot. Seriously, there's no stopping for young kids these days. Autographs, players need to remember where they came from. I completely agree. I think they're they treat that gold dust now. They need to, for example, what the Leeds players did. I feel so sorry for Leeds fans. They're a good fan base. I think they deserve a lot better. And for the fans, the least they can do is acknowledge them. The thumbs up, the smile, the little wave, the little high five. It really doesn't take much. These kids are traveling these long journeys. They're paid a lot. During the cost of living crisis, the very least you can do is appreciate your fans. It's not their fault that you haven't been very, very good. So the players need a bit of humbling and need to be brought back down to earth, because they're nothing without the fans. The fans support them no matter what. And the fans are the ones I feel sorry for. For example, with Tottenham, some people made a 14-round all trip to Newcastle, and you've got players who can't even be bothered to clap the fans. It's not their fault you haven't turned up. It's not their fault you have no balls or no shame. At the very least you can do is clap them. I know they refunded the fans, but that would have been Levy going, you need to refund the fans because I'm not doing it. They wouldn't have volunteered to do it, and that isn't good enough. As a player,
our away fans yesterday outsung Liverpool fans in their own ground. That's how loud we was. I think we have got one of the best away supporters.
I think the support is amazing. Absolutely, Rachel. I think the support is amazing, and all fans, I think, at the moment, you deserve a lot better. As I said, like with Tottenham, you make that all-round trip. At the very least you can do is clap, acknowledge the fans. It just, for me, it's simply just isn't good enough. At the end of the day, the fans are the ones who generate the team. The ones, as a player, I would always give 110%. If I'm not satisfied with something, regardless, win, lose or draw, I'd go around the whole stadium. You clap all the fans. You'd appreciate it. But when our players, for example, when we lose, there's no clapping. There's nothing on social media. There's nothing. Yes, they refunded the fans in Newcastle, but as I said, do we really believe that the players volunteered to refund the fans, or was it Levy saying, I'm going to expose something about you, or I'm going to do something to your contract? Like with Dyer, your contract's gone unless you do your part. We'll be paying for it.
It's a 3-year contract.
I don't. But it's funny because you label that as a new signing, but that's a completely other thing. Douglas, I want to know, out of your remaining games, how many points do you think you're going to get? Feel free to bring them up.
We've got Fulham. There we go. We've got Fulham, Brentford, Leicester, Villa, and Southampton. Right.
There's some winnable games. Southampton should be gone by then.
I think Southampton will be gone by then. Yeah. I think we beat Fulham. I think we beat Brentford. I think Leicester away is always a tricky game. They always seem to get up for it. They're beating Everton.
I won't rule out top four because the United games you said in there, you said Brighton and you said West Ham. Let's say by any chance they don't win either of them. I can't see Liverpool dropping out of any of them. I can't see them dropping any points. I certainly can't see them losing. I don't know whether they'll do it or not, but I think the gap will be narrowed, that's for sure, than what it is now.
It certainly will be narrowed. I think Manchester United's away form really worries me, though, I've got to say. Their away form is very, very poor, but again, our away record's been very, very poor.
Liverpool could do with you could do with another couple of games in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I've got to be honest. I genuinely think we can win every single game, and it's just a case of if the teams above us, drop points, then it's an absolute bonus. Yeah, we've literally just got to focus on ourselves.
Absolutely, that is the important thing. Danny, how many points do you think we will get, for the rest of the season out of a possible 12 points? So just to run you through, we have Palace at home on Saturday. We have Villa away at Villa Park. We have Brentford at home. That's one of two remaining home games. And finally, Leeds away, which is a huge, huge possibility that Leeds could be gone by then. If they're not gone, they could even be safe by then. So, Danny, how many points are we getting from those games out of a possible 12? Danny?
Can you hear me? Yeah, 4.
4?
Yeah.
Okay, 4 points. Fair enough. That is quite low. Fair enough. Rachel, how many points are you getting out of those 12?
5.
5.
I'm going to go for 5.
Okay, fair enough. Leave you very optimistic. I'm not going to be either, but I am going to say 6. I think we beat. I think we beat. I'm not very optimistic, but I think we're going to get 6. I think we'll beat Palace. That's 3. Villa lose. Brentford win. That's 6. And I think Leeds will lose. So 2 wins and 2 losses. But finally, we're going to go for predictions for next game. So Rachel, to wrap it up, a couple of questions for you. Firstly, what changes do you want to see from the team that faced Liverpool? Going into that Palace game, what changes to the lineup do you want to see? And what
I
do you think
think
the score will be?
Richarlison should come in for Clooney. I think Danjuma should be given a start. To be honest,
yeah, absolutely. What do you think the score will be as well, Rachel?
I will go in. At the moment, because as my husband just said, it could be anything. But I reckon we're going to be 2-0 down at half time. And we'll come back and win 3-2.
Do you know what? I'll be well happy with that. So, Rachel, thank you. Danny, so what changes do you want to see to that Palace team? That Liverpool game? Do you want to see any changes to that defence, especially, even up front, even in midfield, maybe? And what do you think the score will be against Palace? Let's go for it.
Yeah, I would definitely make the 2 changes that Rachel touched on. As for the result, Spurs are at home, aren't they? Spurs are at home, aren't they?
Yeah, Spurs at home, yeah. Against Palace, yeah, on Saturday.
I'll go 1-0 Palace.
1-0 Palace, fair enough. And thank you, Tim, for the comment. Fair enough.
Thank you for that, Tim.
Tim's actually both up there. And Chris he's turned Rachel's scoreline around the other way. 3-2 Palace. Can you imagine if we go 2-0 up and Palace turn it around? Yeah, it could be a taste of our own medicine. I can't believe Hodgson's playing attacking football these days. I know, 4 goals against West Ham. It could be a high-scoring game, Tottenham and Palace. I'd go and say that, and I'll probably jinx it, and it'll be 0-0. But Douglas, so I'm going to ask you 2 questions, but slightly different. Firstly, your Tottenham and Palace prediction, and your prediction for Liverpool's next game, which is it Fulham? Is that right?
Yeah, it's Fulham on Wednesday.
We'll predict those 2. So yeah, 2 days time.
I'll go. It depends what sort of Spurs turns up, doesn't it? It sort of depends what sort of Spurs turns up. I'll go 3-1 Tottenham against Palace because I think you've got a good record against Palace. I think you usually sort of beat them at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium anyway. I probably already jinxed that anyway. Liverpool Fulham. I think we'll sneak that 2-1. I think Fulham played very, very well against Manchester City. They were unlucky to lose. And I think
you're at home.
Yeah, we're at home.
You're at home. Yeah, you're winning that then.
So I think we'll win 2-1.
Okay, fair enough. I'm agreeing with you, going 3-1 Spurs, and I'm going 4-1 Liverpool against Fulham. I just think you have too much of them to handle. You've got to remember they've got Pereira out, they've got Mitrovic out, and now they've got Team Ream out as well. Thank you all. I think that is pretty much everything. So thank you all. It's been a fantastic show. Thank you all for coming on, and thank you all for listening. Thank you all for your questions. So firstly, Rachel, it's a pleasure to have you on. Your debut on the channel. Tell people where they can find you.
Thank you very much. You can obviously, Danny follows me, but you're welcome to follow me on Twitter. Rachel Jackson. I've got the Eric out as my profile photo.
Yeah. Barnaby says our game against Liverpool on Wednesday is going to be interesting. I can see it being a close game. Depends what Fulham turns up. Absolutely. But Fulham do have a few injuries themselves. Chris says Liverpool can't defend plastic bag when coming there this season. That is also very, very true. Danny, thank you for coming on. Also, your debut on the channel. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Danjo Boiler. So basically, Boiler spelled with a Y rather than A. So it's Boyler. Danjo, Danjo. Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Harry.
Absolutely. You're both welcome back anytime. I'm going to quickly answer Jay's question. Who's your starting 11 versus Palace? Does Richarlison start? What I would change personally, Richarlison for Kulusevski is the first thing I would change. I'd put Davis at left wing back because Palace have attacking threats, and I'd bring Langley back in. That's what I would change. Why not play the likes of Tanganga and Devine? Top four's gone. Why not try them? It can't be any worse. Chris says, rather listen to Rachel's opinions than good Kathy. I know that much. Fair enough, Chris. But, I think
I'm quite proud of myself. I think I've done really well this evening.
You have done very well. Yeah, I was looking forward to having you on. I know it was last minute, but I thought, she should be great. So no, you were fantastic. Douglas.
Thank you.
Also, anytime. Douglas, also your debut on the channel. I mean, all 3 of your debuts all at once. That's what I love to hear. Thank you for coming on. As I said, it's only fair that you came on my show after you had me on your great show. It was a pleasure to come on. It's a pleasure to have you on here as well. I thought you were fantastic. So tell people where they can find you on social media and more about your channel and your show.
Yeah, Harry, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure. And as I said, it was a pleasure having you on my channel earlier in the week. It was really, really good. But there is my Twitter handle there, nrod_1992. And I'm also the Dugout Football channel on YouTube. It's a basic football channel and mainly sort of Liverpool content, but I try to be as unbiased as possible. So please do come and check me out. Please do leave a subscribe, obviously, over here as well. If you like your football, I try to cover as much football as well. The channel will be taking a bit of a backseat because I am becoming a dad in September. So
congratulations!
Yay.
So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, definitely. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
99%.
I'll definitely.
I'm a mum to 7, so.
Rachel, this comment from Tim says, I agree with what Chris has said about Rachel. Get her on Match of the Day. Better pundit than Lineker every day. There you go. Chris says the 1% is horrible dad jokes. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you like a Scottish person like myself and you like dad jokes, then yeah, my channel is the place for you.
Absolutely. Go check all 3 guests out on Twitter and subscribe to Doug's great show. As I said, I was on there on the other day. If you want to catch up with it, go to his channel. That was Saturday. You can find me, my Twitter handles there, HarryScarf22, content creator on TikTok, YouTuber, and also advocate for autism as well, as I'm sure, Rachel, you will know. So yeah, you can find me there. And also, if you're new to the channel, obviously, because my channel is Scarfy Spursel, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like if you like it, because this is a weekly thing now. Every Monday, 8 p.m. we have great guests on, great guests like Rachel, great guests like Danny, and great guests like Douglas. And every week it's someone new.
All the time, Harry.
Yeah, absolutely, you're more than welcome. You become a regular on the channel, that's for sure. That won't take long.
Good.
We have everyone, have different people every week, and it's always a pleasure. We have so many debuts on the channel. We have content creators come on. We have everything, just fans come on. So yeah, this has gone down better than I ever expected. So yeah, that's where you can check me out. But as I said, don't forget to follow all 3 on social media. But thank you guys, it's been a pleasure, and thank you all for watching. But as we always say on this channel, come on you Spurs. It may be different in Douglas's view.
Spurs, Daniel.
Yeah.